I want you to imagine a tough guy, a warrior, a man who isn't afraid of anything. What is he wearing? Maybe camouflage? Maybe black leather? Maybe dark blue denim? Now, imagine that same guy walking into a biker bar, wearing a bright, hot pink silk suit. What happens? In 2024, people might laugh. They might question his masculinity, because in our collective brain, we have been programmed to believe one simple rule: blue is for boys, pink is for girls. It starts before we are even born. We throw gender reveal parties where we blow up forests with blue or pink smoke. We walk down the toy aisle, and it looks like a segregated war zone. Monsters and trucks on the blue side, dolls and ponies on the pink side. We think this is biology. We think this is nature. We think that women are naturally drawn to pink flowers and berries, while men are drawn to, I don't know, the blue sky? But what if I told you that this is a lie? What if I told you that less than 100 years ago, everything was completely backwards? Back then, if you dressed your baby boy in blue, people would look at you funny. They would say, "Why are you dressing him like a girl?" Because for centuries, pink was the color of blood, war, and masculine power. And blue was the color of the Virgin Mary, dainty and feminine. So, who flipped the switch? Was it a secret society? Was it the Nazis? Or was it department store marketers who just wanted to sell you twice as many clothes? Get ready to question your reality, because today we are going to expose the biggest marketing scam in history. Welcome to Behind the Seams. Let's unzip the truth. Let's start by destroying your childhood. If you travel back to the year 1880 and look at a kindergarten class, you will notice something strange. You cannot tell who is a boy and who is a girl. Why? Because they are all wearing the exact same thing. White dresses. Yes, dresses. Look at this photo of a cute little girl with long hair, wearing a frilly white skirt and patent leather shoes. That is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, the man who led America through World War II. And he wasn't cross-dressing. He was just being a normal 19th century toddler. For centuries, gender-coded clothing for children didn't exist. It was purely practical. Think about it. Before washing machines and disposable diapers, babies were essentially chaos machines that produced poop and mud. White cotton could be bleached. You could boil it to get the stains out. If you dyed baby clothes bright colors, the bleach would ruin them. And why dresses? Because zippers hadn't been invented yet, and buttons were a pain. If a baby needs a diaper change 10 times a day, you want easy access. Lifting a skirt is easier than taking off trousers. So, until the age of 6, every child, boy or girl, wore a white dress. Gender was irrelevant. Laundry was king. But around the early 20th century, department stores started realizing something important. If parents dress all their kids in the same white hand-me-downs, they don't buy new clothes. To make more money, they needed to introduce trends. They needed to introduce color. But here's where it gets wild. There was no consensus on which color belonged to which gender. It was the Wild West of fashion. In 1918, the most influential trade magazine for children's clothing, called Earnshaw's Infants Department, published an article to settle the debate once and for all. And here is what they wrote. Listen closely. The generally accepted rule is pink for the boys and blue for the girls. The reason is that pink, being a more decided and stronger color, is more suitable for the boy, while blue, which is more delicate and dainty, is prettier for the girl. Read that again. Pink is for boys because it's strong. Why? Because pink is a derivative of red, and red is the color of Mars, the god of war. It is the color of blood, fire, and passion. It was seen as a power color. In The Great Gatsby, the supermasculine character Tom Buchanan mentions a pink suit. It wasn't a joke. It was a flex. On the other hand, blue was associated with the Virgin Mary. In religious art, Mary is almost always wearing blue. It represented purity, calmness, and silence, traits that society unfortunately wanted to force onto little girls. So, if you were a cool mom in 1920, you dressed your son in hot pink to show how tough he was. So, when did the switch happen? How did we get from pink warriors to Barbie? Historians point to two major factors. Factor number one, Nazi Germany. During the Holocaust, the Nazis used color-coded triangles to identify prisoners in concentration camps. Jews wore yellow stars. But men accused of homosexuality were forced to wear pink triangles. This began to associate the color pink with femininity and homosexuality in the public consciousness, specifically in Europe. But in America, the change was driven by something much more superficial. A millionaire's wife. Her name was Mamie Eisenhower. She was the First Lady, the wife of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. In 1953, she wore a massive rhinestone-studded pink ball gown to the inauguration. Mamie Eisenhower was obsessed with pink. She decorated the White House in pink. She slept in a pink bed. She was the ultimate 1950s housewife icon. Because the war was over, American women were being pushed out of the factories and back into the kitchen. The culture wanted women to be soft, domestic, and decorative. Mamie's pink became the symbol of this new, traditional woman. Suddenly, every kitchen appliance, every bathroom tile, and every dress in the Sears catalog was pink. Pink became the brand of the American housewife. And because boys didn't want to look like their mothers, they ran to the blue side. By the late 1950s, the lines were drawn, but it wasn't strictly enforced yet. The real villain of this story is the 1980s, and the villain has a name: prenatal testing. Before the 1980s, you didn't know the sex of your baby until it was born, so parents bought neutral supplies: yellow, green, white. You had to buy clothes that would work for either outcome. But then, ultrasound technology became cheap and widespread. Suddenly, parents knew months in advance if they were having a boy or a girl. Marketing executives at companies like Gap and Carter's rubbed their hands together and said, "Jackpot." They realized that if they strictly gender-coded everything, parents would have to buy 2 sets of everything. If your first child was a boy, you bought a blue stroller, blue crib sheets, and blue onesies. If your second child was a girl, you couldn't use the hand-me-downs. God forbid you put a girl in a boy's stroller. Society would judge you. So, you had to go out and buy everything new in pink. It was a strategy called planned obsolescence, but applied to gender. The pink and blue divide wasn't about biology. It was a strategy to double profits. This marketing strategy spiraled out of control and gave birth to the modern monster, the gender reveal party. It started innocently enough on a blog in 2008. A woman cut a cake and it was pink inside. Cute. But social media turned it into an arms race. It wasn't enough to just say, "It's a girl." You had to prove it with explosions. We have seen gender reveals involving alligators, skydiving, and literal explosives. In 2017, a gender reveal party in Arizona started a wildfire that burned 47,000 acres of forest and caused $8 million in damage. all to announce a color that, historically speaking, meant the exact opposite 80 years ago. If you travel back to 1918 and blew up a pink smoke bomb, everyone would shout, "Congratulations, it's a boy." But the color switch isn't just annoying, it is expensive. This brings us to the economic scam known as the pink tax. Walk into a drugstore, go to the razor aisle, pick up a blue razor for men. It has 3 blades, a moisture strip, and a rubber grip. Price, $3.99. Now walk 3 feet to the left, pick up the pink razor for women. It has the exact same 3 blades, the exact same plastic, the exact same factory origin. The only difference is the pink dye. Price, $5.99. This is pervasive. Studies show that products marketed to women and girls cost, on average, 7% to 13% more than identical products marketed to men. From shampoo to scooters, from earplugs to calculators. Manufacturers follow a simple rule: shrink it and pink it. Make it smaller, paint it pink, and charge a premium. Why? Because they have successfully brainwashed us that pink is a specialty product for a specific gender rather than just a color. And it's not just about money, it's about the brain. When we force these colors on kids, we are forcing stereotypes. Walk down the pink aisle in a toy store. What do you see? Cooking sets, vacuum cleaners, dolls to take care of, makeup kits. The message is clear. Be pretty, be domestic, be a mother. Now walk down the blue aisle. Construction sets, science kits, superheroes, weapons. The message is, be active, be smart, be aggressive. By segregating toys by color, we are segregating skills. If a girl wants to build a bridge, she has to cross enemy lines into the blue zone. If a boy wants to learn empathy by caring for a doll, he has to risk ridicule in the pink zone. We are limiting our children's potential before they can even speak. But, just like with pockets, there is a rebellion brewing. Gen Z is starting to dismantle this. We are seeing icons like Harry Styles wearing pink dresses on the cover of Vogue. We are seeing rappers wearing pink furs. We are seeing the return of the power pink. In the corporate world, the pink pussy hat became a symbol of political resistance. The color is being reclaimed. It is shedding its weak reputation and returning to its 1918 roots, intense, strong, and disruptive. Men are realizing that a color cannot change your biology. Wearing a pink shirt doesn't make you less of a man. Just like wearing a blue shirt doesn't make a woman grow a beard. It's just light reflecting off fabric. So, the next time you are at a store and you see that wall of pink versus blue, remember, it is all made up. It is a fiction created by magazine editors in 1918, flipped by a first lady in the 1950s, and weaponized by corporate accountants in the 1980s. History proves that there is nothing inherently girly about pink. It was the color of warriors before it was the color of Barbies. So, gentlemen, if you want to wear that pink sweater, do it. Tell them you are channeling your inner 19th century warlord. And ladies, if you want to buy the blue razor because it's cheaper, do it. Fight the pink tax. The only rule in fashion should be, wear what makes you feel good. Everything else is just marketing. This was Behind the Seams. Hit that subscribe button if you learned something new today. And tell me in the comments, do you think gender reveals have gone too far? See you in the next one.